want to make this quite clear to you, my dear creative. You're not behind because you lack ideas. You're behind because nobody has taught you how to combine them. Because the world is not starving for completely new ideas. It's starving for the people who can filter, who can link, and who can build them. You are not going to need to be the first one. All you need to do is be the one who makes it clear, useful, or impossible to ignore. There have been these moments where I've scrolled past some art or some content, and then it felt like it hit just a little bit too precisely. It's like something that I had already started to form, something I had almost written or recorded myself, something that I had seen before in my own drafts, in fragments that I hadn't finished, or maybe even in my own thoughts. So it wasn't like a surprise, it was more like a memory of something that I just didn't act on in time. And that feeling, you might be able to relate to, it would linger for a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, annoyingly. And it wasn't because someone else made it, it was more because I didn't do it. To know what the new creator superpowers are. It's a TikTok creator who's turning a Reddit thread into a 60-second tripping skit, or a designer who's going to turn a Notion template into a digital business, or maybe a YouTuber who's repackaging his podcast interviews into 5-minute breakdowns for your benefit. People think the ideas are new because they've never seen the old ones. That's Paul Gray, because none of them are really creating from scratch. They are combining these older signals into forms we might think new, but they're doing it fast and they're doing it consistently, and they're doing it with a personalized system. We have a world that's flooded with knowledge, and in such a world, creation is not rewarding genius. What creation is really rewarding is pattern recognition. The faster you spot patterns, the faster you can build with them. Pattern recognition actually creates your leverage. That's where you start to build. But the thing is, it's not enough. Your outcomes are going to depend more on what you choose to build than anything else. Your choices are going to become filtered by one of the most important skills of the 21st century, and that is something that cannot be taught. It's called taste. Knowing taste, having taste, is how you know what is actually worth remixing, and what you realize just becomes noise that people ignore, forget, and scroll past. Most people are going to quit because their skill hasn't caught up with their taste, and they don't ignore that temporary reality and choose to build anyway, missing the fact that taste is signal, but your skill is the lagging indicator that comes after it. So that tension is something that doesn't get named directly. So you see something and you know exactly why it works. You might feel what actually makes it hit. You can even sense the alignment before you create it. But the thing that you're trying to create is just not landing the same way. Like, it's not hitting the way you want it to. And you cannot shape what you actually see in your mind. You can't make it into a reality fast enough, because you do know what it should look like. You just can't get it there yet. So the gap between what you recognize and your execution is building that pressure, and sometimes the pressure can push you forward, but sometimes it's making you take a lot longer than you need to usually. This is the point where some people decide, let me hand the wheel back. Instead, I'm going to let this new trend that everybody is doing decide what I'm actually going to do. Essentially, just waiting for answers. They want other people to tell them what to make. They want other people to tell them what to create, what is important. They want to get answers from culture, from platforms, or just from people that are louder than them. And fortunately, that is the point where the orientation can begin. What you do decide, your taste, will sharpen your own filter instead of borrowing somebody else's. The created player doesn't outsource their thinking, they sharpen their tastes through action. They train their attention to recognize what matters, and they develop systems from the inside so that agency becomes usable and not theoretical. And that is the reason why synthesis matters. Because synthesis starts when you start taking ownership of what's actually going on. If you haven't built that input yourself, then the output is not going to belong to you. When you've decided to take charge of your own orientation, when you decide to harness your own agency, your own free will, you're going to start to see what's resonating. You're going to start to see what ends up getting repeated. And you finally get the autonomy to decide what matters. And that is the point. That is the specific point when creativity has become yours. Creativity becomes yours and yours alone when it reflects what you see and what you believe. That's the true definition of originality. It starts with actually owning your own POV fully, like your life depends on it. Airbnb did that with homes. Tesla did that with cars. OpenAI did that with language. And what you can now do with your own ideas. These are 4 C's to become a great artist. Number 1 is capturing signals. Every tweet, art piece, headline, or YouTube comment that hits you, you need to save it so that you can train your eye for what actually pulls your own attention or your own emotion. Those are going to become the raw materials that you utilize. Number 2 is connecting across domains, because innovation often comes from crossing wires, especially the wires that are not meant to be crossed. What does a marketing idea have in common with an ancient Greek philosophy? That tension, that's the birth of an insight. Number 3 is compressing your idea. Saying it simply, which is something I'm learning in real time. Because if you can't say it simply, you're still collecting. You haven't actually synthesized the idea down. And number 4 is actually creating. You can't be sitting with the idea. You need to actually get and make something with it. Use it in a conversation. Apply it to a decision that you're actually making. Bring it up in a conversation. Journal about it. Speak about it. Write about it. Whatever you do, just make something. Make it real and stop letting these things live and die inside your head. That's not where they are meant to be. You let it bleed onto your medium, you sketch it, you sing it, you shape a character composition around it. Let the idea distort, stretch, sharpen, whatever it needs to do. Just let it be. And then you can publish it. And when you do publish it, you can repurpose it, thread it, turn it into a carousel, test in a story, pressure test your ideas in public. That's literally what I'm doing right now. When I look back, I realized I don't think I lacked ideas, because I did have plenty of them, especially scattered across screenshots, save late, midnight notes, short drafts, all things I never published. But the problem was simply that I just never decided. I didn't learn how to choose what actually mattered. You know, the filter wasn't clear enough to see that I already had everything I needed. And now that things are beginning to shift in my mind, I'm beginning to see things a little bit differently. And I'm not holding things so far out, trying to create something that doesn't exist. But you learn that you actually build with what you have, things that are already inside your reach. Good artists borrow, great artists steal. In a $100 billion creator economy, the ones who win are not the ones with the best ideas, but they're the ones who can actually remix things the fastest. For example, what you're watching is a repurposed article from Substack, which I repurposed from another article I wrote on LinkedIn. So find a screenshot or a quote or a headline that you see. Combine it with something else like an old note or a tweet draft or a stray idea on your phone, and you write 3 sentences. That's your synthesis. You do it again tomorrow. Now you're starting to build leverage. Until next time, creating constraint.